We're going to put Kali on our cyber range. I hit the enter key here, and because I've set the lockout off, all I had to do is hit the enter key. That's it. Procedure is described in another video. So we're at the command line, which is a good place to be. For the network, we go to Devices, Network Settings. And you can see, since this was fresh from the VBox appliance, that I'm on the NAT network. What I want to do is I want to put it on our static network. And then if I were to go to Iceweasel, just like Firefox, it will come up. But the problem is, as we know, on a static configuration, you have to put the IP addresses in. We haven't done that. And so this is going to error out. Except we're still on 10.02.15, which isn't going to happen when we reboot because this only came from DHCP. So what we need to do is we need to change this, correctly configure the net mask, the broadcast, and the DNS in order to make this work with the new situation, being in the static network that we're using for the cyber range. So what we're going to do is we're going to do nano, and this is the path to a network setting file. We're configuring the network card or the interfaces, so that's why you see that. And this is the file that's read by Kali each time it boots, where it gets its network configuration. So we're going to add the configuration for the Ethernet 0 interface. It's going to be static. The IP address is going to be 10.0.2.113. The gateway is going to be 10.0.2.2. And there you go. I'm using I'm using IP address 113. If you remember, I think 110, I forget. 110 could be the server, 111 is my workstation, number 112 is workstation number 2. So I had to find a IP address, a unique address just for this machine, which is going to be 113. So I'm going to output it so I can save it. And then I can exit with Control X. And we're back at the command line. So I could reboot the machine, but what I'm going to do is reset the network daemon. Daemon is like a Linux word for service. Windows services run in the background, daemons run in the background, and the network daemon takes care of internet access. So I'm going to use sudo. Well, let's first do it this way. I'm going to do etc. This is the path to the daemon, networking daemon, and I'm going to restart that. So there you go. It restarted the interface. If I do ifconfig, you'll see now that I have an IP address that goes on my cyber range. Let's go back here. This is actually good enough. I started the server, and here's my server. I used a little utility from sysinternals called bginfo. That way, the IP configuration is displayed on my desktop. IP configuration, as we said many times, is so important that you need to know it. And I keep rebuilding my cyber range all the time. And you have to be consistent with IP addresses, and sometimes I forget and I just install it. But here you can see that the server is 100. So my servers are in the 100 range, and then the 110 range, 111, 112, 113 are my workstations that do stuff for me in the range. So the test to make sure it's on the network is then to ping another machine, in this case the server, so I put in its IP address, and there you can see that it's replying, which means that it can see the network. If we go to Google, this time it'll error out, and that's because of why. What's the service that allows us to get onto the internet, that translates domain names to IP addresses, so that way other computers, or you can find web servers on the internet just by using meaningful names like Google? Well, that service is DNS. So what we're going to do is configure the DNS. And here you can see it's still in ping, and it won't stop pinging. It'll just keep on going. So I have to use Control-C to stop it. I'm back at the command line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the DNS file called resolve.conf. So I use my sudo command, so that way I can get in there, my nano command. And this is the magic file that keeps track of our DNS server, which is also called the name server. That name server. And what I'm going to do, so this works for everybody, is I'm going to use Google's name server. They put this out there, so we can all use it. It's 8888 with periods in between each octet. I'm going to output this, save it, then Control X. I'm back at the command line. I could use the up arrow to get into the history. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart the network service. And because this command was successful, I'm going to use that command. Sometimes I'll mistype a command, and the history works if I've done the command before, or once I get it right, it'll be there for me when I need it. So we restart the service, go back to our browser, and now my Kali Linux has like a DNS, so that way I can see the web. So that's doing a static configuration for Kali. Thank you for watching.